It's only entertainment.
Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we've got Bob Fireman. He is the CEO of MariMed. You can find them publicly traded on the OTCQX under MRMD. Bob, thanks for being here at the Talking Hedge.
Josh, thanks for having us, and thanks for providing the industry with up-to-date knowledge of everything in cannabis.
Yeah, appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about MariMed. It's a multi-state operator. You are in Massachusetts. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved and a little bit about MariMed.
Okay, thank you. MariMed is a multi-state operator. We're in 5 states right now: Massachusetts, Maryland, Delaware, Illinois, and Nevada. I've been uniquely about MariMed is our validated management team that's been together over 10 years. Makes us sort of a dinosaurs in this industry. We've seen it explode from little operations out in places like Seattle, Oregon, California. But as an attorney and a sort of a serial entrepreneur, I've been involved in causes and issues and doing startup businesses in a variety of industries. Excuse me. One of them was sustainable agriculture. I had a company called Sky Vegetables, and we were going to put hydroponic farms on the roofs of the city to grow fresh local food all year round. Whole Foods asked me to come out to California. They were building 26 stores in the Bay Area. And I said, you want me to grow lettuce in California? I'm from Massachusetts. That's where the lettuce is from. So long story short, they said, yes, we want to make a statement. And we started this project in California and San Francisco when Gavin Newsom, who was mayor at the time, said, let's make a statement. Let's put a hydroponic farm on top of the San Francisco Convention Center, the Moscone Center. And all of a sudden, I'm developing a farm on top of the Moscone Center when the mayor called and said, I'm so sorry, I thought the city owned the convention center, but it's in a trust for 100 years. And the lawyers say I can't do it. I said, well, can I have my $60,000 back for the engineering? No, I can't do that. I'll give you the pier. I said, give me my basketball, I'm going home. So we went back. We went back to New York and we built a 10,000-foot hydroponic farm on top of an 8-story affordable housing project in the Bronx. And we started to grow local fresh food in the Bronx and still do today. I learned as I was out there about the Wild West. This is back in 2008 and 9 of California. And some of my guys that I said, we're going home, they said, well, can you help us with a little grow? And all of a sudden, me and my partner, John Levine, were funding a grow in South Aptos. And all of a sudden I owned a dispensary in San Jose. And we learned about the Wild West of cannabis. And then when Peter Lewis and George Soros started funding referendums back east for legal medical marijuana, we got involved with a group and started to develop applications and won licenses in 5 states. Actually, our team won in 6. So as we brought from California best practices, learning how to do it with the people back here, we morphed into MariMed in 2014 and took over the public company in 2017. So the team's validated. We won over 17 licenses in 5 or 6 states. We've developed over 300,000 square feet of regulatory compliant, state-of-the-art cultivation, production, dispensaries. So we're validated, we're experienced, and we're nationwide. We've also developed our own proprietary brands. Our Betty's Eddies are the top selling taffy in the states that we're in. We're coming out with vegan ice cream and other sorts of products. And this next week, we're going to launch our Bubby's Baked Goods with a big promotion. We just created the largest cannabis-infused brownie in the history of the world. It's 3 by 3 feet, 9 square feet, 15 inches tall, weighs 840 pounds, and I think is 20,000 milliliters of the top API cannabis oil we have.
Now, is this the largest brownie in the world? You guys made this for your 10-year anniversary. What was this for?
For the promotion of our new launch of Buddy's Baked Goods.
Buddy's Baked Goods, okay.
And so that'll be out Tuesday. I can announce it today because I don't think you'll go live till then. But
yeah.
So we're cooking. We're an MSO that's a little under the radar.
Well, I'm not done with this brownie yet, Bob.
Okay.
Is this thing infused? You're talking about 840-pound edible. Is this have THC in it?
THC.
How many milligrams does this have? Do you know?
20,000 milligrams.
20,000.
Yes.
Thank you.
Josh, what are you doing next Wednesday? We're going to cut it up. It has to be done in 5 milligram servings, but
I might have to get in line a few times then. Yeah, that sounds amazing. The
Someone
vegan
asked me-
ice cream, I got to ask you the influence on the vegan ice cream. Is that from, why is the name escaping me? Because they're super popular ice cream company, and I think they're based in Massachusetts.
Emac and Bolio's.
Well, I'm thinking of the ones with like the Jerry Garcia, those guys.
Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, are they from over there?
They're from Vermont.
Okay.
But
Was that the inspiration, or why vegan? Because we don't even have infused coffee, really. I'm from Seattle, home of Starbucks, and we can't get normal stuff. So you're talking about niche products that you're doing. Whereas what I've seen, at least on the West Coast, is that chocolate flavored espresso beans don't really sell. For whatever reason, it's too expensive to make infused coffee. But you're going out on a limb making some vegan ice cream. What was the influence?
There's a brand back here called Emac and Bolio's that predates Ben and Jerry's. And, historically, Massachusetts and Pennsylvania are the ice cream capital in the country. Mm. So Emac and Bolio's was back in the 60s with the Rolling Stones. It was like a cultural thing back in the 60s and 70s with Aerosmith and all these guys in it. So the creator of it came to us and we forged a partnership. And we couldn't believe he has around 60 stores and does a big wholesale business. So we worked on coming out with something new, innovative. I mean, challenges of delivering ice cream to dispensaries have its challenges, as does all new categories like beverage. But when we tried the ice cream, it's amazing. I mean, so we did a test market. Our guys love it. There's no cream in it, but it's the creamiest thing I've ever tasted, and there's not a drop of cream in it. So we're launching that now in first quarter, and we think will be an interesting brand. We're launching a brand that of powdered drink mix. Vibration brands are coming out. We're coming out with Bubby's Baked Goods, and we're coming out with deeper lines of our Betty's Eddies. I mean, our Betty's Eddies is the top selling soft taffy chew in every state that we're in.
Those are popular in about every state. You can't have gummies in Washington state because gummies are illegal because they're attracted to children. But taffies, however, same thing. Taffies are really popular. When I lost my appendix, things got weird, and I can't do dairy and wheat and sugar and alcohol are just weird. So the vegan ice cream I find really interesting. That's probably going to go really, really well with that 840-pound, 20,000 milligram brownie. But yet ice cream wouldn't even work on the West Coast because it requires refrigeration. So anything that requires refrigeration isn't necessarily legal, at least in Washington. It's an option to put a drink in a fridge, but if it's required, not allowed. Tell me a little bit about, because you're in 5 different states, how do you manage which products that you bring on, knowing that maybe it's not available because of the regulations?
Sure. And, you know, some of the states are still medical only.
Mm-hmm.
So the issues of edibles, of what's recreational looking, you know, so some places we can call something a mint, and in other places it's called a chewable tablet. Those barriers are breaking down. Most states will go adult use, and adult use against medical has its own idiosyncrasies. I mean, in the states where we have both, we have a 5 milligram limit on dosing in adult use, but on medical, there's no limit. I mean, we still have people that are chronically ill that want a 30 or a 50 milligram product and can't get it in the adult use, so they have to take 20 of them to get to what they need. So there's, other than taxes and things, states are working through those programs. Some states have supported medical. I think there were issues in Washington state when they allowed the adult use. Would they preserve the medical program? And I think they didn't do the best of jobs. I think in Colorado they did better, and I think everything is better. So, you know, we were around when there was only California and Colorado. So now in 33 states in the District of Columbia, I think states are doing a better job of getting ahead of the curve, providing more uses for more modalities and more illnesses. And as new states come on, and even in the South, I think they're getting the benefit of the experience of other states have had in these programs. So yeah, the mission of MariMed is to really help improve the lives of our customers through cannabis infused and cannabis products. We stick to that. It's a culture we have within our company. And I think what differentiates MariMed from other MSOs is our commitment to quality, to craft style bud at scale. If you walk into our facilities, our people are happy. They're part of a bigger family of people, and we love the success we're having and all the good things we do to all our many customers.
You got started by, you got involved in the cannabis industries through some interesting business deals, right? So you were kind of doing this hydroponics on rooftops. Being in Washington, seeing the medical market just get eviscerated, Oregon's, you know, not really there. I don't think California's is going to last, and maybe Colorado's is better, but longevity, not sure that it's going to be there. To bring medical back, because I'm a medical patient, and 100 milligram cap here isn't enough. To your point, I'm not going to buy multiple 100 milligram because all of these things have sugar, and so I want to find something that, you know, with the powdery drink that you have or whatever that has, I get RSO. So if I can get a high milligram and nothing else, that's kind of what I'm looking for, is the cannabinoids. To bring medical back, could we do something collaborative like hydroponics on rooftops for medical patients? Because it's not really being done elsewhere. I don't know if there's room or space in Manhattan to do it anywhere else. Doesn't really make sense in Florida to have all these crazy greenhouses. It makes sense to utilize existing infrastructure like commercial real estate and anywhere else you can do. It's sort of a co-op model to grow medical marijuana on rooftops. Is that feasible? Is that a feasible business model to grow cannabis hydroponically on rooftops?
Oh, physically, is it capable? Yes.
Is it feasible financially?
Of course it is. Obviously, I used to say it's easier to raise money for cannabis business at $4,000 a pound than for lettuce at $5 and $6 a pound.
Right.
I don't think they're going to allow cannabis to be grown everywhere. You know, the compliance of having a secured facility. Some states you can't grow outdoors, most you can't. Even greenhouse have to be in a secured environment. And some states still require indoor grows, you know, which aren't environmentally the best. But I don't distinguish the cannabis from medical to adult use. To me, the difference is application and taxes. Obviously, the difference between having one of these medical cards with a doctor recommendation allowed for the implementation of medical programs, which really was the precursor to adult use. So to me, it's all medical. For the people that want medical relief, 29% of the population that have debilitating illnesses where cannabis can give them relief. And I think whether it's adult use or it's medical, that distinction will go away over time as the industry becomes more mainstream. I think what I've seen in the last 10 years is the taint of cannabis used to keep us from talking to doctors, talking us to hospitals, talking to universities. So where I used to try to do some back-end research or trials outside the scope of the FDA, or I couldn't. There were no cannabis really programs in universities anywhere in the country. That's all changed now. Not so much in the medical schools, but in the undergraduate programs, there's more cannabis approved programs trying to create people to bring into this industry than ever before. There's more people going into labs and looking at different formulations of cannabinoids. There's more people using breaking cannabinoids from CBNs and CBGs and THCVs. How can we get a better result so that people that have illnesses where cannabis can help can get more mainstream? So there's more of that going on. I mean, ultimately, it's not about stoners walking in, give me the product with the highest THC at the lowest price. It's about people getting relief no matter what it is, whether it's someone with some illnesses like yourself, or if it's a mother of four that has anxiety or nausea. She wants to know that she's going to go in and get a product that gives her relief, that's consistent, safe each and every time. And that's what she does. I mean, the more education we bring, the more training for doctors we bring, all this will bring cannabis more mainstream. And the history of how we got there will be an amazing story. So we're happy to be part of it. And I think it's going to get better.
We're going through some growing pains. It's interesting, the acceptance of cannabis as well as psychedelics. So Sue Sisley she has DEA approval for cannabis research, and yet her bank account at Bank of America just got shut down, which doesn't make sense at all. The DEA just approved an increase in psychedelic research. So cannabis kind of was the gateway to psychedelics, if you will. I think CBD was the gateway to cannabis. If it wasn't for Charlotte and Charlotte's Web, a lot of the soccer moms wouldn't get behind cannabis today. Would you agree with that? Starting 10 years ago, what was the major influence for the acceptance that you're seeing? I'm curious, between all of the markets you're in, the Nevada, Illinois, Delaware, Massachusetts, and Maine. Is that where you're at?
Maryland.
Maryland.
So we are in Maine. We license our brands in Maine, Puerto Rico, and soon 5 or 10 other states. So where we're not vertical, we'll be partnering with people who are buying production and distribution to get our brands across the country. But I think you raised a point. We used to sit there and watch people in wheelchairs go before legislature to say, why can't we get cannabis? It gives us relief. I mean, veterans with PTSD, wounded warriors. So I think it was really hard in the beginning, and then all of a sudden it got a little easier because some of the no one was dying from cannabis. No one was driving cars over cliffs or seeing trees fall on houses. So, and then all of a sudden the states were making money, and money in times that are hard, the tax revenue from oppressing cannabis between local municipal taxes, state taxes, onerous 280E and federal taxes, the fact that we were all illegal didn't stop them from taxing the hell out of us. I mean, with no banking, high taxes. I mean, we have fought to make this viable, at incredible odds. Ultimately, the consumer pays for the profit and the cost of all this oppression. And ultimately, as we get more mainstream, the price of cannabis and cannabis products will probably come down and be spread amongst more people. But where did you ever see an industry where there's more people taking on trying cannabis than ever before? I mean, it may be some guys, baby boomers from the 60s that now that it's legal are back trying it and seeing it. But I think there's more habitual use, with beverages, infused drinks. People will start having, instead of a glass of wine, they'll have a seltzer with some THC in it. So I think the expansion of the base, the expansion of the category, more dispensaries opening up, more people seeing it, advertising being legal. I think the industry is ready to expand to another level.
Are you guys looking to expand?
Absolutely.
Where are you guys? What's interesting? I know you can't necessarily, you're publicly traded, so you can't really tell me where you're looking at, but can you maybe tell us what are some interesting markets?
Well, we're looking to expand in Illinois, go vertical. We're looking in Michigan, Missouri. We just filed applications in Ohio. We're going to apply in New Jersey. The RFP came out and is due this month. New York is going to allow legal and applications next year. So we're expanding as rapidly as we can. I think what differentiates MariMed than other MSOs is we're organically grown. I mean, my team, we won the licenses, we built the real estate, we created the workforce. We didn't go to Canada and raise hundreds of millions of dollars and then try to buy companies and assimilate cultures and systems. Everything we do is organic and financially disciplined. We had some issues back in 19 when we wanted to corner the CBD hemp market, and I could talk to you about that probably all day. But the economics of that industry sort of crashed in 19 and with oversupply. And now we're refocused. In 2020, we had a transformational year back into cannabis. We expanded with adult use in Illinois and Massachusetts. We opened dispensaries. We built out our cultivation. We doubled our revenue in 2020, which gave us confidence to give our guidance first time for 21. We gave guidance of 100 million and 30 million in earnings, EBITDA. And we started off the year great, and we increased that to 118 million with 42 million in adjusted EBITDA. As some of our other MSO stocks have come down almost 50, 60%, MariMed has come up. It's come up because we're under the radar. We weren't on the Canadian exchanges. The value of our stock is still selling at a lower multiple than many of our MSO peers because we're under the radar. So we've increased our bench strength. We've added an IR guy, VP of IR with experience, communication. We're adding new CMO to expand our marketing. and we're growing organically. So yeah, we will put our brands in more states this year. We will finish the roll-up of the businesses that we built, and we'll continue hopefully to double or do better of our revenue every year. So, we took an equity infusion back in February. We've paid off all our debt. So we're debt-free other than first mortgages on real estate. We're cash flow positive. We're eminently profitable. We have the highest margins of anyone in the industry, and we've got the best brands, and we're going to expand. So we are poised for growth in a disciplined and prudent manner. And we're looking to tell the world who we are. And we think we're the best valued stock on the marketplace.
Well, that's a lot, Bob. So let's unpack some of that. So 280E, you mentioned, that's the tax provision where you can't necessarily write off things like labor. So that was kind of the cocaine cowboys where people were buying yachts. And so the IRS came in and said, no more writing off illicitly gained assets. If, or rather when 280E is removed, your stock could significantly benefit because you'll immediately be able to write off those wages, therefore increasing your margins substantially. When do you anticipate that the feds, now that we have 30 something states, medical, and that the consumer sentiment, the US American sentiment is there behind it, supporting it? When do you anticipate 280E and or legalization to occur?
Okay. As far as legalization, we used to joke about that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it was a bill before the US Congress. The states supporting legalization are the states with some of the largest cannabis programs and getting the best revenue. So the challenge of legalization is really complicated because of interstate commerce. How does the states protect the hundreds of millions of dollars that have gone in to create an industry within each state and protect the people that created it, and make sure that some 12-year-old in Bogota can't grow pot for $5 a pound and fly it into Seattle. We had hoped for safe banking, decriminalization, more. And I had hoped in June or July, when it passed the House and Senator Schumer said, we're going to build our own cannabis bill, there was hope that something would happen. We all know what happened. Nothing happened. Infrastructure. So there's a lot more important things going on before Congress. It was interesting last, I think a few weeks ago, for the Republicans to push a cannabis bill for a vote, and that hasn't happened. So I think between now and the end of the year, we don't expect anything. Cannabis is both Republicans and Democrats want millennial votes, and they're supporting cannabis. That said, I thought safe banking would happen. I thought the FDA would approve ingestibles on the CBD side a year and a half ago. Yeah. Because that really hurts. I thought decriminalization would happen. Safe banking, I thought that MariMed, being on the OTCQX, would have a path to NASDAQ through safe banking. We didn't go to the CSE. We didn't raise hundreds of millions in Canada while it was still available. We've done organically, as I said. But to get more liquidity in our stock, without that available, we'll probably do a list in Canada and bring in the retail sales from the Canadian market. As to your issue on 280E, it's a terrible thing. It's a 35% chargeback for retail. If that passes in the part of the safe banking, then our profitability at our retail stores could double or be higher. My CFO is not on the call, so I can't use numbers, but yeah, it will improve the profitability, which improve our earnings, which should improve our stock. The market is going through a correction. There's not a lot of logic to what happens sometimes in cannabis, but there's more sales, there's more users coming into the category, and there's more availability in more states. So the future of cannabis as an industry is only going to go up. I mean, so did I not answer your question? I think safe banking will pass in the foreseeable short-term future. I think legalization is years away. I think it will only get better. There'll be more research. There'll be better products. The people on the sidelines are getting closer. At the end of the day, cannabis is becoming more mainstream, more about branding, distribution, filling consumer needs. There's more availability for advertising, marketing, digital marketing. There's more research and better quality products. So at the end of the day, MariMed and others are going to look more like Kraft General Foods and consumer packaged goods company when legalization finally comes.
So your stock's under the radar, but you've had 2x revenue in 2020. You mentioned 30 million in EBITDA, your guidance of 100 million, but it's still under
which we increased to 118 and 42 in adjusted EBITDA.
The whole stock sector seems to be MOMO or momentum stocks. They really flowed with November's election through about February. And then, like you mentioned, had that 60% retracement. There's no rhyme or reason. Fundamentals have been dead for a long time. There's a lot of technical traders out there who don't really care about some of the important stuff. But, you know, like having zero debt is crazy. What's the strategy behind that? And why is your stock so under the radar?
Well, I think it's under the radar because no one knew about us. I mean, we didn't do a great job on the capital markets, IR and PR side. We also had some confusion as to who we were. Were we a consulting company that helped cannabis people win licenses? Were we a management consulting real estate company? Because back in the day when there was medical only, you couldn't own the license. So our revenue came from consulting fees, management fees, licensing fees, and rents. So I think part of our consolidation strategy was the marketplace was waiting to see it. We've now rolled in 2 of our 5 divisions, and that's taken our revenue from the cannabis revenue into the financial reporting. As we finish our organically, this double-digit growth will continue, if not go higher. So yes, the other part was we didn't go to CSE. We didn't like, we decided we were doing fine, and we let our fundamentals and our discipline attract it. So some of the other guys that were peers of ours got way bigger, raised hundreds of millions, started buying the licenses, and we didn't get into that craze. We don't have the issue of assimilating different businesses, different systems, different cultures. So our plan is to grow organically, keeping the culture and the image of our mission and our values to ourselves. It's not always about the money. I mean, I love hearing stories like yourselves, because that's how we all got into this business. I love helping mothers with epileptic children. I mean, seeing the success of what we do in providing relief. We're big users and producers of RSO. We've seen miracles happen with people. You know, we sit here in Boston in the middle of the medical, one of the great medical cities or states in the planet, and stuff that we do. Some of the doctors are amazed. So how do we turn the folklore into peer review, clinical, medical thing that can be expanded and used by our hospitals and by our doctors? How do we get more people looking at cannabis as a solution, not only for symptom relief, but curative relief if it can be done? So all that's now more possible, and we're excited about it. So we're excited about our industry becoming more consumer related. We're excited about the opportunity to expand the use of cannabis as a medical solution. And we're excited about making more money for our shareholders and getting our stock back to where it used to be and will be again.
They'll probably be excited about you going to the CSE. Would you need to go to the Canadian Stock Exchange if the Safe Banking Act were to pass tomorrow?
If NASDAQ, we need to be on a larger exchange. So if NASDAQ felt that safe banking allowed it to have cannabis, American cannabis companies, the answer is Canada would not be as important. Some people think it might be obsolete. So even if we do a list in Canada, we're still staying as an American-based, SEC compliant US company. It would only to be allow the people in Canada that can only get into cannabis through those exchanges.
Okay.
I mean, the other thing that's happened, we just got one analyst to pick this up. We have 3 or 4 other cannabis analysts from banks that are going to pick up this company in the next several months. So our story is going to come out. People will start to know that what we do and more about us. And we're excited. I mean, ultimately, the value of the price, if our stock was higher, our currency would be a little stronger. We'd probably be more active in M&A. We're very disciplined as to dilution. So we're out there looking for single state operators that are entrepreneurs like ourselves, that share our vision, our mission, commitment to quality and consistency, and want to be part of a bigger umbrella of more power, more capital, more established brands.
Let's talk about that, Bob. Let's talk about that. Do they have to be vertically integrated? What are you looking for when you're trying to find strategic partnerships and have some mergers and acquisitions? Washington State, for example, they have producers and processors that can't be retailers. So there's that separation. Is that a turnoff from an investment standpoint? And what are you looking for when you look at strategic partnerships?
Okay, so the answer is depends on the state. There are states where the wholesale cannabis, there's an oversupply of cannabis and it's not maintaining a big price. In those states.
Are we talking about Oklahoma and Oregon?
I don't want to pick on any state.
I'll say it. Go ahead.
I mean, states like Michigan, Michigan's in it. They're all different. Michigan had a black market medical thing with 500 stores and no one even knew cannabis was in Michigan. So we want to get our brands. We think our brands are competitive. I mean, we outsell Incredibles or Warner and some of those brands in every state that we're against them. So the entry point, if everything ultimately is brands, distribution, direct to consumer, then we want to get our best brands in as many states and get more national acceptance of these as national brands. So the answer is I'd look for a partner that had a production and distribution in these states. Obviously going vertical and owning the cultivation allows us to control the quality of the flower that's going into our infused products. So ultimately, and if there's a good wholesale market, I mean, we're not the big guys with the largest numbers. I mean, if you walk into our facilities, we grow craft buds at scale. We don't vertically stack. Our guys are tied to every room's its own environment. Every person gets control over a room and he's responsible. Our COO, Tim Shaw, says he puts love into every plant. That pays off. I mean, that really pays off because our Nature's Heritage brand of flower and concentrates, we can't produce it fast enough to sell it. So commitment to quality, craft, filling customers' needs is the motto of this company and is the reason we're successful.
What's some of the compliance or due diligence? I mean, when you went into California in 2008 and saw the market, a lot's changed. 10 years is a lifetime in this industry, like you mentioned. So there's some distressed assets, there's cheap, there's people literally in Washington giving their licenses away. They can't even sell them. Nobody wants it. So there's distressed assets on the West Coast. You're going into Ohio and new emerging markets. What's the difference? Like, what is your strategy when you're looking at those? And during the process, there's a lot of compliance and due diligence. How do you prepare to pull out a checkbook and make a decision?
Well, we've got teams of experts in every aspect of the business. So if we go in and do diligence, we'll know quickly what's there, what needs to be, and how good the marketplace is. I mean, I think, the frustration of Washington being one of the first, they set up a highly regulatory situation. And not a lot of people have made money in Washington, as good as the program is in a way. Oregon's a different case with oversupply. California had the best of both. I mean, when there was no regulations in California, people thought regulation would make the industry great. Regulation has strangled it. Limited shelf space, onerous conditions, oversupply that can't have a place. I mean, the problem in California is coming east. That extra flower is in the black market in New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. I mean, in a way, that's the competition for the businesses out east, is the black market that's being fueled from black market cannabis from the West Coast. So I think you have to be careful. Oklahoma is a different case. They're all different. Do we not want to be in California, which is a country of itself, as the best and the worst of cannabis? Are we concerned about, so branding and distribution. So we would look to get our brands in a production and distribution thing. It's our least risky sense of capital. And if our brands have the success, it'll be the most profitable expansion of the company. We're looking at Washington. We stepped away from there for 2-3 years. Someone just brought us something in Washington, and we're trying to gauge where is the state at now. So yeah, it's state to state. It's making the right decisions based on the marketplace, the wholesale flower, the supply and the demand. And you have to just know what you're doing. You have to believe what's going to go wrong. Some of these companies that are making prediction about next year or the year after's revenues and profits, it's a lot of factors involved in what's going to happen. So far it's good, but every day we plan for things not being so good. And we make our business judgments based on our sense of reality.
Bob, let me leave you on this final question, getting your crystal ball prediction. You mentioned one of your clients or partners are in Puerto Rico. So when federal legalization happens, what's the market going to look like? Puerto Rico, for example, is a U.S. territory. They don't have congressional representation. You can't have taxation without representation, making Puerto Rico the only place in the world an American can go and not pay taxes. So to your point about the impact of 280E doubling revenue, someone in Puerto Rico versus California, Puerto Rico is going to make 37 times more than Puerto Rico because they don't pay taxes in Puerto Rico. So the impact of that alone is massive. Where do you see the pros and cons if Colombia and Peru, like you mentioned, is going to come in at 10 cents with landing costs per gram? massively disruptive. Where do you see the industry once legalization happens? Are wholesale pounds going to come down to $18 and match that of tobacco? Is there going to be massive consolidation? What is your crystal ball prediction for when legalization happens?
Okay. So just a couple of things on Puerto Rico. So in Puerto Rico, we found a partner that makes this hot sauce infused tropizan. And
that sounds amazing.
It's amazing. We introduced it into our markets and we put Betty's Eddies into theirs. The Puerto Rico market, there's tons of dispensaries and everything was doing good till the hurricane came. But it's doing bad. So Puerto Rico is an interesting, I can't compare it to California. You could put California in one section of Oakland. I mean, you could put Puerto Rico. Legalization is complicated. I think that the government's going to make it more like they did for alcohol. It will be regulated and they'll protect the industry. There's going to be a transition to protect the states and the businesses in those states. How they do on importing, there'll be some huge tax or barrier to entry. You know, the regulations of how things are grown in compliance, in metrics. I don't know how they're going to be able to see what's going on organically in Peru or Panama or Uruguay. Cannabis is worldwide now. You know, it's booming. The medical program in Germany is booming. Adult use is being discussed. A lot of companies and friends of ours, you know, we were in the CBD business. We're making entries into the EU through whether it was Portugal or Malta, looking at taxes. So cannabis is going to be an international business. The United States market is still the market everyone wants to be in. And I think there'll be a transition. I think prices will come down, but I think there'll always be a market for quality and for the craft stuff that we produce and branding. So I'm not that scared of legalization. We're set to handle it whenever it comes. I think if it does good for the people that can use cannabis and enjoy it and get benefits from it, then it will be good for business.
Well, Bob, we talked about a lot. If anybody wants to get a hold of you or find out more about MariMed, where are you guys at? You have social media, website, you're on LinkedIn. Where can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you at?
Well, I think there's info at MariMedInc.com. We will, I don't know exactly, I don't want to give you my personal email.
Oh, that's fine, no.
but right now we're on web, we're on digital media, and everyone knows how to reach us. If not, just go to info@MariMedInc.com.
Yeah, sounds good. And we'll put some of that, those links in the show notes in the description as well. So I think with that, we're gonna have to roll this one up. I want to thank my guest, Bob Fireman. He is the CEO of MariMed on the OTCQX under MRMD. Bob, thanks for being here with the Talking Hedge.
God, thanks to Talking Hedge for helping us. And as soon as I get my vegan ice cream, I'm going to figure a way of getting it to you in Seattle.
I appreciate it. All right. Well, I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is the Talking Hedge. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out. Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.